President Ilir Meta presenting his arguments for the annulment of the June 30th elections to the Inquiry Commission today, cited his decision was made in protection of the Constitution, the right of the people to vote and the country's EU integration. The press office states that the OSCE's official visit to Tirana on September 17 and 18 has been postponed due to a busy agenda, though it suggested that the country's political crisis may be an underlying cause. Environmental experts oppose the construction of the yacht harbour at Cape of Rodon, saying it should actually be made into a protected marine area, adding the construction process will damage the ecosystem. It's 6 o'clock on Monday, the 9th of September 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to RTV Ora's English edition. My name is Alexandra, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Making headlines this evening, President Ilir Meta travelled on foot from his office to the Assembly, appearing before the Inquiry Commission set up for his dismissal at 9:55 a.m. In front of the cameras, he appeared calm, a calm that would go on to characterise his entire 120-minute hearing before the Socialists and new opposition lawmakers. The head of state listed basic reasons that, according to him, pushed him to repeal his decree on the June 30th elections. The first relates to the Constitution. The annulment of the June 30 elections has been guided by my responsibilities as President, as Head of State, and as Head of the Security Council and a representative of the people. The Constitution, unbelievably harmed from April 2008 onwards, was a constitution to prevent a second 97. In this regard, the President has not bothered to meet the whims of the opposition, but has aimed at guaranteeing a comprehensive election process. It was a very sincere attempt, besides security-related issues, to avoid a civil clash and aimed at the avoidance of long-term integration penalties, explained President Meta. The other argument is that he defended the right to vote, raising the case of Bulgaria being fined by the Strasbourg court for failing to protect the voting rights of their citizens. The vote of every person eligible should create the opportunity to influence the formation of legislative bodies. Otherwise, the right to vote, the election process and consequently democratic order would lack the right to its substance, added the President. The President answered numerous questions from lawmakers from the ruling majority and the opposition as to the possibility that his decision might be a conflict of interest because of his wife, Monica Kruamadi, to which he chose to respond with sarcasm and irony, especially towards members of the new opposition. The head of state concluded his parliamentary visit by having coffee with Speaker Gramos Rucci. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Rama followed the events of the hearing from the Speaker's office before meeting with Sandor Leshaj and Talon Bala. Negotiations to resolve the political crisis in Albania appear to be far-reaching. Even the OSCE delegation has indicated that the visit planned for the 17th and 18th of September will not be realised, instead choosing to postpone their trip to Albania. The OSCE press office announced to RTV Ora that the postponement has been caused as a result of a busy agenda. A month ago, it was announced that the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly Secretary-General, Roberto Montella, would lead a delegation to talk with party leaders in Albania. At that time, it was stated that it will not be a negotiating team without having a request from all parties. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister, Edi Rama, will pay a visit to Germany as requested by the CDU-CSU. On the 13th of September, Rama is expected to meet with Chancellor Angela Merkel. It has been learned that the meetings will deal with integration negotiations, with Germany being one of the countries that have yet to make a final decision. Also, another German delegation is expected to arrive in Albania next week, where the focus remains the current crisis. The opposition has accused Prime Minister Rama of a vote-buying scenario and of linking the government to the world of crime. It's for these reasons that the opposition has demanded the Prime Minister resign, withdrew from their parliamentary mandates last February, and refused to recognise the election which occurred on June 30th as legitimate. Due to the tensions and protests, the President cancelled the June 30 election and decreed October 13 as the new local election date. The act was considered null and void by the Socialist Party, who were the only party with candidate offerings in most of the municipalities for the June 30 elections, resulting in them winning all 61 municipalities. The Cape of Rodon should be turned into a protected marine area. Environmentalists are anxious as a result of Minister Belinda Baluku's proposal to build a yacht port in this area. Environmentalist Abdullah Diku points out that Albania must meet the standards for protected marine areas, while adding that this area has also been declared a natural monument. According to the environmentalist, the construction of a yacht harbour at the Cape of Rodon would damage the ecosystem, especially during the construction phase. It will be accompanied by negative environmental impacts. The most sensitive ecosystem is the coastal one that will be directly affected. There are large quantities of concrete that will be placed in the area and very significant numbers of vehicles that will move throughout the area, said Abdullah Dika. For the former head of the coastal agency, yacht ports in Albania are important for tourism, but before approving projects, it's necessary to conduct proper studies to find the right areas. Albania has no tradition of this. It is important to get the world's best expertise to do something to compete with our neighbours in the level of service and quality of upgrading these ports, said Aron Tare. Sources from RTV Ora have announced that the requested proposal provides a tender period of 35 years in order for the tender winner to build a yacht port at the Cape of Rodon. According to the proposal, the concession for the port is designed to be built on the southern coastline of the Gulf of Drin, about 7 kilometres from the Cape of Rodon. Justice institutions need to be more cautious in raising charges against businesses. The Confederation, referring to a recent case of business defrauding through VAT schemes, demands that the charges remain unaffected by politics and competition in the market. The case of the sensational bans of January 2019 relating to charges of embezzling €18 million via fictitious VAT schemes and the complete lack of ongoing public opinion data should not be repeated. No one knows today what has been done with the case, the number of closed or ongoing files, the processes followed, or what measures have been taken by the prosecution for failing to defend the charge in court, said the Confindustry. In the announcement to the media, the Confindustry General Administrator, George Bujuku, points out that there is significant moral and financial damage caused to both citizens and businesses by the publication of names in the media, only then to have prosecution charges dropped by a court decision. In democratic states, the financial rewards of the state in such cases are quite high. It should be understood, however, that such fraudulent schemes of high financial value cannot be created and implemented without the participation and corruption of representatives at all levels of state agencies, and clearly depict problems in the applicable legislation, explained the Confindustry. However, the Confindustry estimates that hitting abusive businesses with the law, especially in cases of pure state budget robberies with fraudulent VAT schemes, is necessary to protect competition as a basic condition of a market economy, as well as increases confidence in the justice system and therefore should be taken all the way to the end. Integration issues of the Western Balkans in general and Albania in particular were the focus of the meeting between Albania's acting Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs, Gen Sarkaj, and his Polish counterpart today during his official visit to Poland. Throughout the meeting with Poland's Foreign Minister, the further intensification of cooperation between the two countries was discussed, alongside the Western Balkan countries' European agenda and coordination within regional and international organisations. Minister Sarkaj also thanked his counterpart for Poland's unwavering support for Albania in its European journey. According to the press office of the Foreign Ministry, the head of Polish diplomacy has expressed its commitment to the opening of negotiations for Albania. For his part, Sarkaj said that Albania does not seek favours, but deserves the opening of negotiations on the basis of fulfilling the conditions left by the European Union. As a cornerstone, the minister highlighted the reform for justice, referring to it as historic. Albania's expectations for the opening of negotiations in October are not based on the need for favours, but on the merits of our progress. The implementation of justice reform is both historic and unprecedented by any other country in the region, such as the creation of new judiciary bodies and a tangible contribution to the fight against organised crime and corruption, said Minister Sarkaj. The two ministers then attended the opening ceremony of the Second Conference of Tirana, a bilateral consultative forum through which Poland shares its experiences to assist Albania on its path to integration. Florian Alimardi, who has been in charge of Flora's property registrar since May 2019, has been dismissed. Sources from within the registrar suggest that a new director has been determined in Alteo Nazarai. Nazarai is a lawyer that has worked as a property registration specialist for 10 years. Furthermore, the deputy director and an unconfirmed number of specialists have also been dismissed from the property registration offices in Vlora. The Vlora Property Registration Directorate has been one of the most problematic directorates over the years regarding mortgage property issues. There are many court cases and, from time to time, denunciations, especially on issues related to coastal areas. As you may recall, recent cases were brought before the prosecution noting hundreds of acres of stolen land across the Karaburun Peninsula. In the 6 years of socialist ruling in Vlora, 12 directors have been replaced, a significant statistic for interpreting the depth of the situation. According to the Property Registration Office from citizen complaints, it is understood that Vlora's coastline has not yet been subject to initial registrations, which has allowed for easier manipulations with the properties in this area. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of RTV Ora, thank you and good night.